to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. We're back from our executive session, and we're ready to go ahead with our public session. And welcome to all the students that are joining us tonight, and welcome to our student reps from Ithaca High. That was the board response thing for the students. That's great. Good to see you guys, and we will continue. And I see, is that a supplemental?
Yes, I'd like to add a supplemental personnel report dated today to the consent agenda.
And without objection, and this is the public comment period. Anyone here that wishes to speak that isn't going to speak later, now's your chance on any topic that you wish. Looking around the room. Anyone? No one signed up? Correct. We'll move on. And where are us? Board responses, anyone? Board members said?
Board responses to the no comments?
Well, no, board responses to anything you might have heard throughout the day or the past week. Cool.
Well,
go ahead, Pat. You're on fire tonight, Pat, so you just go ahead.
I would just like to commend all the participation in government students who are being proactive and coming out at the beginning of the semester to fulfill your community obligation so that you don't have to come out in December when it's cold, dark, and miserable. Well done. I bet you're all well ahead on your college applications as well. So
That is a
That's why Pat responded for the board, and we do have board reps. You're not on the agenda, but why not go ahead, Lisa, Max, and Jamie?
Why not indeed? Well, we had, I'll talk about our senior activities. So on September 1st, we had the decoration of H Courtyard, a tradition. A motley crew of jovial seniors piled in to decorate H Courtyard. From a fond illustration in the likeness of Dr. Brown with the inscription, "Live, Love, Louvre," to inspiring words such as limitless, spelled with 7s and 1s. It was a great time, and now it's a great place to spend free periods, now that we have some community going. We also had the senior breakfast on the first day of school, which started at 8:30. Class pulled through, I'd say. Bountiful layers of delicious breakfast food, from monkey bread to breakfast sandwiches to bowls of luscious fruit salad. All was available to refresh our seniors before their powerful and impressive first day of learning. And many thanks to all the senior parents who helped us, and our class officers, of course, one of whom is here today, James Yoon for government. Thanks to James. Additionally, just in the beginning of school year spirit, I'd like to hope that we're getting into a great year for all of our freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We have some new murals last year that were funded by student council, so there's a lot more art in the halls. It's a little closer to looking like LACS. It's a very nice site. And we still have the water coolers, which, in my opinion, I'd say are pretty good. The water's consistently colder than the fountains, and I like the satisfaction of getting it out of the cup. That's less important than your senior breakfast, but that's all I have for you tonight.
School's just started, but Link Crew's been really active. Link leaders took 2 days out of their summer for a total of 13 hours to get ready to welcome the incoming freshmen, class of 2020. They went through team building exercises and learned about leadership. That was August 30th and 31st. Link Crew's first event of the year was Freshman Family Night on August 30th, which was a great success. While families attended the information session in the cafeteria, the incoming freshmen had a chance to get to know each other. In the gym, there were activities like kickball, eating food, getting to know all the clubs there. That was great. And last Thursday, the day before school started, was Freshman Orientation Day. Freshmen broke off into small groups, and they had the chance to work with upperclassmen Link leaders, learning about teamwork, navigating through high school, had a chance to tour the school. It was a great success as always, and a great time for both the Link leaders and the freshmen.
Alright, and hello, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Jamie Levette. I'm a senior here at IHS, and I'm looking forward to attending board meetings in the future. In regards to fall sports, we start off very strongly. Actually, right now we have a boys soccer game, and as well as a volleyball game occurring right now. And last week, on Friday, we had a women's swim meet versus Maine Endwell that resulted in a powerful win for the IHS team. A score of 112 to 74. And additionally, football has a game September 17th at Elmira coming up.
Anything else?
That's all I
Great.
have.
Great to have you back. Board responses and anything that they heard in the last 5 minutes? You all good? Pat?
Can we have t-shirts that say live, love, loot?
I'll work on that.
Thank you, IMS students. That was a stroke of brilliance.
Just turn the meeting over to Pat. And I'm happy to hear that we beat Maine Endwell in anything. So it's not the only thing that we beat Maine Endwell in so far this year, I believe.
We won't beat them in baseball.
Well, those kids aren't in high school yet. So.
I'm a little off on my news.
I know,
Okay.
so good. And congratulations to Maine Endwell and the kids regarding the Little League World Series. It was great to have a Southern tier team in a World Championship. That speaks very highly of the athletics in our area. And we'll go on to consent.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second by Brad. Am I looking at anything that we need to highlight?
No, not this week.
Okay, great. Any questions from anyone else? All in favor? That is everyone that is here. Nicole is absent. And Dr. Brown, my little sticky, I believe, says it's right there. That says it's your turn, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Lane, for the opportunity. 3 things tonight. First, I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the beautiful artwork displayed in this room and around the building. Thanks to our pre-K teachers, pre-K art teachers, Ms. Caitlin Baxter, Ms. Erica Keeper for organizing, but most importantly, the young people, our 4-year-olds who have done amazing work. Having looked at some bad work in my house, this is some good stuff. And as folks know, we try to highlight student work throughout the school year. And up first this year were our pre-K students, and it's pretty good stuff if you have a chance to walk around and take a look at it. Secondly, I'm going to be reading from some documents tonight, and this is a letter. I read some of this at convocation, but I know a lot of folks weren't there. This is for the community as well. I'm reading a letter from the president of the the National Association for Music Education. He's the president of NISMA, the New York State chapter. And he says, on behalf of the New York State Music Association, it's my privilege and pleasure to inform you that the Ithaca City School District has been selected as the recipient of the 2016 Presidential Citation Award. This is a big deal, y'all. This award was presented to select New York State districts that act as a model for music education programs. Your music program is one emulated, it's just as high quality, it's well balanced, innovative, and enjoys the support from administration, parents, and the community. We're one of 2 districts in the entire state to receive this special honor. I am to be in Rochester to receive the honor, but I just wanted to say to everyone, this is big. Yes, we've been recognized as one of the best music education communities in the country. This award is, from my perspective, even better to hear about and see about because it represents the work that the board and the community have done to support music education when other districts are moving away from that support and when the financial crises and constraints. So congratulations to us, I guess, for this, and we'll give you more information. There'll be a press release going out soon, and we'll be inviting the board to the award ceremony in Rochester, right, David? I keep looking at David because David knows a lot more about this particular award than I. And finally, I don't know if anyone had a chance to watch the Hall of Fame induction ceremony this past weekend for the basketball. Naismith Pilot, Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson went in. So all week I've been walking around talking about how proud I am to know and have played with 2 Hall of Famers. One with Allen Iverson, I had a chance to play with Allen. He beat me every time, but I had a chance to play with Allen Iverson.
Really surprised by that.
I knew it was
He walked right into that.
I just talked it to you, dude, that time.
Was it practice or
Practice. It practice. But this person that I've had a chance to be on the court with and in a lot of other spaces with, I'm most proud to know. And I'm just going to read some of this. The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAC, has announced Niagara University's honorees to be inducted into the MAC Hall of Honor Roll. These honorees will be enshrined at the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. That's a big deal. And I'm just going to read something about this person. Her name is Samantha David Lewis. She etched her name in the Niagara history books by becoming the program's first MAC Player of the Year during the 1992-93 season. A Player of the Year. It talks about her. She's 5'11" forward from Elmira, New York. Holds a single season scoring in points per game mark with 584 points and a 21.6 point. I didn't score 21 points my whole career. Every game.
Again, Dr. Brown.
That's a big one. She set a record during that season. Her 21.6 points per game was the 10th highest in the nation. She posted the program's second most field goals at 240 and field goal attempts in a season, 452 attempts. You shot it a lot. She was a Player of the Year for the MAC year, a MAC first team member, second team ESAC, and it goes on, an honorable mention, All-American. She finished her career with 1,476 points, which ranks 6th all-time. Her 13.3 career mark is 8th all-time. She's in the top 10. I could just go on top 10 rebounds. She was a pretty good player.
Could she shoot free throws? That's all we have.
That's not free throw percentage. Oh, no, yeah. Free throws made was 8 all time, and a 48% field goal percentage. I know I'm embarrassing right now. That's why I'm going to prolong as long as I can. But I saw that she went back to coach. She was an assistant coach from 2000 to 2002. And she was inducted into the Niagara University Hall of Fame in 1999. See, I didn't know any of this, and she's so humble, and she's such a great instructional leader that she focuses on network now, but we would be remiss if we didn't recognize that we in Ithaca, New York, working in our schools in front of young people every day and modeling what it's like to be a student athlete. So most student athletes don't go pro, as we know. They have to work day jobs, and to do that and to serve young people in the community with this kind of a resume, is impressive, and not many folks knew about it. I didn't know. So with that, I want to say congratulations, and to brag about knowing a Hall of Famer, and I can't wait to visit the Naismith Hall of Fame to see your plaque, I guess, there. And we have a little special gift for you, too. We tried to surprise you. Her family surprised her. She didn't know what was going to happen tonight. So I think surprise was out of the bag when you saw your whole family here too. Yes. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. And with that, I'm done with my part.
All right, I won't say anything. No, I won't. Well, we have no doubt that Samantha could still take you, Doug. Congratulations, Samantha. That's outstanding. And Dr. Brown, we're going to continue to talk about athletics with our athletic director, David Hanna, I believe. And we're going to talk about the athletic placement policy regulation revision.
So our athletic director, David Hanna, is here to answer any questions we may have. This may actually be, it may be a simple revision, we will find out. As folks may recall, we spent a good deal of time last year having extended conversations about athletic placement process, particularly for 7th and 8th graders who wanted to play JV or varsity sports. And most of that conversation revolved around the use of this thing called Tanner scores and how students were given physicals to place them on a chart to gauge their maturation before they could even try out for a sport. We had extended conversations about whether or not that was appropriate, who should make the decision, etc. When it came down to it, we were advised by legal counsel that we had very little option, that this was the recommendation by New York State, but a recommendation was, in essence, a de facto law, and therefore we should follow it. I would say, fortunately, New York State got a great deal of feedback, or New York State Department of Education got a great deal of feedback, and decided to change this policy to now make the Tanner score to be one of the items in consideration amongst others. And so what we have done is simply rewrite our policy to remove Tanner score out of it and say that the medical director, the athletic director, and the head nurse in tandem will decide if a student has reached maturation to be able to try out for JV or varsity sports. Did I capture that correctly, David?
That's correct.
And I don't think there's more to that. We literally deleted 2 paragraphs in the policy. That's what it is.
And are you moving that for first reading?
And I move, so we can have a quick conversation. We've already put this in place in essence for this year, so we're in no immediate hurry for fall sports. We wanted to make sure it would be in place for winter sports as an official policy. So we can easily go through the 2-read process to give us some time. So yes, at this point in time, I move policy 5281-R, the revised regulation for first reading.
I second.
By Pat. And so, Sean, you're okay with first reading? We don't need to do a supermajority vote and all that?
I don't think we're in an immediate hurry at this point in time. No.
So the state decided to
loosen the regulations. They realized how it was a very bad system. And we did have to remind folks that each school district has the option of whether or not they allow 7th and 8th graders to play JV or varsity sports. And many school districts, or some, choose not to let that happen. But if you do let that happen, then there's an entire process to find out physical maturation for students in athletic safety.
And what they did was loosen the language a little bit, so it was a multi-tier or multi-factor approach as opposed to just using the Tanner score. It's now multiple factors, so it's the size, weight of the child, Tanner score, and medical history. So it gave our medical director a lot more latitude and us in informing her with our preliminary decision as to how we should determine whether a 7th or 8th grader is prepared and physically ready to be able to play with high scores.
Go ahead, Maureen.
I just want to say that's exactly what we tried to do, and I'd be happy to push this on through so I never have to look at it again, because we spend so much time on this thing.
It was not just one meeting, just
No.
for the folks out there was multiple meetings, and really got very interesting policy committee meetings, Sean. It was
They were riveting.
I think we just give David credit.
That's right.
Move on.
Right, we should
Right.
absolutely. Thank you.
This is a great course of action.
Great hire.
Yes.
good things happen when you hire good people. I think that's what. So we're basically done. On favor as presented. That's everything. So we're good. All right. Very good, Dave. Thanks. Now you can go back to the games.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And there we are. And now, Jason, we are very happy to hear from the Ithaca High School leadership team and of my favorite high school.
The Ithaca High School.
The Ithaca High School.
We were going to follow Mr. Hanna over the volleyball games, but we thought we'd come and talk to you a little bit about what 100% engagement looks like at Ithaca High School. Take just a moment to get set up. We do have the whole team here tonight.
So welcome, Jason. It's a start to another great year at Ithaca High.
It really is. Yeah, there's no surprise to anybody here in this room or that go to Ithaca High School. We've had a great start. Things are off to the way we want them to roll off to. And we spent a lot of time at Ithaca High School talking about 100% engagement. And we want to define for you. Before I do that, I'll introduce the entire team.
Thank you, Sean. I was going to just kind of point that
Got my
out.
cue.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
You can do introductions, by the way.
We're ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go through and introduce our semi-new team for everyone's benefit. To my right, we have Miss Crystal Sessoms, who is our associate principal, solely responsible for our, not solely responsible, but responsible for our freshmen. And we'll talk a little bit about that because we've talked long at this table, and as you know, I've been here for 24 years, and we still struggle in the transition. I think that 9th grade is the most difficult year for many of our 9th graders. So I want to make sure that we had a good, strong person at that helm there, and we feel very comfortable with Ms. Sessoms in that new role. Not new to Ithaca High School is Martha Hardesty. She is she's our associate principal for students M through Z. So when you hear those pieces, those are the point pieces, because when we talk about 100% engagement, we're really talking about not using the words navigate at Ithaca High School, but really to encompass and engage. And not so new either, at the end of the table, Mr. Keith Harrington, who is our associate principal for A through L. So that's really the team. And I want to actually also introduce Ms. Karen Keachel, who's working with us as well as an administrative intern this year, rounding out the team at Ithaca High School. So as I see our colleague ready to roll, we really are talking about 100% engagement at Ithaca High School, believing that if all of our students, all of our families, all of our community, and all of our staff are engaged, everything else takes care of itself. So what does engagement look like? A common theme that many of you gave us feedback to after our June graduation and frankly after our August graduation was the relationship that we have with our students. And that's really what speaks to our 100% engagement. The students know how to navigate the high school. We talk about EDOT at Ithaca High School, every day on time. Everybody understanding what the expectations are. So students have a great schedule, they got great courses, they arrive to those classes. If they struggle with that, staff know how to help support them, families know how to help support them, and we all know how to help support them. So we've got 3 new initiatives that we're going to roll out here in just a moment. But again, getting back to that engagement piece, I challenged the staff on the first day with this example, that if we took every student's name at Ithaca High School and put their names up around the cafeteria and asked every staff member, every adult to walk into the cafeteria, put a check mark next to every child's name that they had a relationship with, what would that look like? It'd be pretty telling data in terms of where the connectedness come from. Then I challenged the staff to flip that notion and say, I'm going to put everybody's name, I'm going to put all the staff members' names on the cafeteria walls and ask the students to put check marks next to their names that they felt that they had a relationship with. And I want them conducting themselves that way at school all the time. How do we engage all of our students? When we talk to our communities, and we're going to talk about that just here in a second, is really understanding what our role is in terms of making everybody and helping everybody be successful. So in a moment, Mr. Harrington is going to talk about our RTI process that really helps clarify. You've heard those initials quite a bit. We're going to make sure that we don't get too buried down in the acronyms. We're really talking about what does it mean for students, what does it mean for families. Ms. Hardesty is going to talk about our new initiative, our AP Community Connections Road Tour, so to speak, that many of you have been a part of and came out to engage our leadership teams and gain familiarity within our multiple communities around Ithaca. And Ms. Sessions is going to talk about a new concept at Ithaca High School, in essence called them Playbooks. And she'll get into those pieces in terms of quick reference guides to say to folks. And I'll give you this example. Miss Amy Ruda, who's my assistant in the front office, came to us from Enfield Elementary School. And her first day there, I said, Amy, I want Ithaca High School feeling as small as Enfield School. And that's where we want things to be. So we don't want folks with this misnomer that we're a large school, that we're somehow impersonal. We know our students, we know our community, and in turn we want folks to know them. Ithaca High School is the community and vice versa. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Harrington to talk a bit about RTI.
Thank you. So RTI, you'll hear it a lot. It means it's a response to intervention. I really wish it was RTS, response to students, because I think that's an easy way to think about it. RTI covers our entire student population. It's a systematic approach to engaging all of our students. Through RTI, we are focused on supporting teachers in their classroom. We're focused on connecting our students with resources within the school and within the community, and we're really expanding this year the focus on the community as well, and Ms. Hardesty will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And the last goal of the RTI group is to track and assess the interventions, to keep an eye on them, just like we ask our teachers to assess their teaching in the classroom and the learning of the students. We're also assessing the interventions. RTI really does cover the entire school. It starts at the entire student body, where we're providing professional development in a systematic and thoughtful way to the staff. We are actively encouraging and giving our staff opportunities to do PD within the school. I'm a long-time believer. I've actually talked in front of the board before about my belief that we have the experts we need within the school. From the newest teachers bringing in novel articles and ideas from the university to our veteran teachers bringing in their vast years of experience. And RTI is focused on disseminating those interventions for all of our students that you see there on the right-hand side. In fact, that's from a professional development opportunity, a PLC, that we facilitated last year, just looking at some of the interventions within the classroom. Really excited this year to be focusing on inclusion and also on building a more responsive school. And those things you see there already in place, whether it be mentoring, getting teachers out into the community, or et cetera. So yeah, I think that's it. So those are our 3 goals. And the last thing I wanted to say about the team that's actually put together is that we meet weekly to kind of look at how things are going so that it can be responsive in a very timely manner to the needs of the students and the needs of the school.
As you know, I'm Martha Hardesty. I'm one of the associate principals at the high school. And while I represent the alphabet with the last names M through Z, one of the things that we're really working with is toward the goal of 100% engagement. We are all responsible for all students. And so this summer, Ms. Sessoms and Mr. Harrington and I wanted to increase the communication and the connections with the families within the community. And as you can see, there's one of our flyers that we make community connections. We were out in the community at 4 different venues. It's actually 3 venues, 4 events: GIAC, the Tompkins County Public Library, where Mr. Granger joined us one day, and at Southside Community Center. We found that parents really responded to the fact that they had the opportunity to come, because it was the response that we got was, "Wow, it's great. I don't know if I would have come to Ithaca High School if this was going on, but it was right around the corner from where I was having lunch, or it's right around the corner from where I work." That being said, I also heard feedback from families about the fact that they appreciate the opportunity and look forward to future events. What we learned from that, we went to the Brooktondale Community Barbecue, and we learned from that was we need to be putting ourselves into more events that are already out there. The Ellis House Fair I went to last weekend. We're going to be attending the Oktoberfest and the Harvest Fest in Enfield on October 1st. And again, we realized that we asked the families to come to us, and it's equally important for us to go to the families. And what we're learning from this is how to get to know all the different areas of our community. Mr. Trumbull stole my thunder there for a moment by saying our famous line, but I'll repeat it because I think it's very important that IHS is the community and the community is IHS. We also included a picture of the bus drivers there. We made it really part of our first kickoff week between Freshman Family Fun Night that was mentioned earlier by Lisa. Also to talk to the drivers. The drivers are the first to see our students every morning, and they're the last ones to see them at the end of the day. It's important that relationship is there between the student and the driver and how we can support them. So we consider the larger community, and we're making more connections.
All right, good evening. So what I'm about to share about the engagement playbooks, I hope to kind of bring everything all together, because as Keith and Martha and Jason already shared with you, there are many people involved in supporting students at Ithaca High School. There are many places and resources and systems that are in place to help kids be successful. And what we learned is that together we want to be able to have something tangible, have a reference guide that families, staff, students can refer to know their role and how they can, do the best they can to be engaged in our learning community. So when you think about it, one of the things that we discussed as a team is oftentimes, for an example, if you're an athlete, there's scouting reports. You have to know your coaches, your opponents. You have to know your role on the court. Maybe, for an example, I have a personal connection with basketball, and I played many positions. But as a shooting guard, I not only had to know the role of a shooting guard, I had to know what the point guard was doing, what the center was doing, the expectations that my coach had of me, and how that all kind of came together. And when we think about students in our learning community, we want them to know their role at IHS. How do they connect to the people around them, and how do the people around them connect to one another so that they may be successful? So a little bit about just our structure this year, and logistically you have the alpha split, and you have last name of a student A through L, and then last name of a student M through Z. You can refer to this just to look at the circle of adults that are there to support that student, but as you see, the arrows just represent the ongoing student-centered two-way communication and the approach that everyone works collaboratively to support students. What I'm going to now share is a little bit more details about the engagement playbooks. There will be 3 engagement playbooks, and they're student-centered, and they're all audience-specific. I'm going to just display that here in a second. The 3 audience members, we have a staff engagement playbook, we have a student engagement playbook, and we have a family, caregiver, and community organization playbook. What I'm going to display here is our Ithaca High School staff engagement playbook. The first 3 pages of each of these playbooks are all the same. You have obviously a cover page, and from there you have a table of contents, 5 pages, takes you about the playbook, who's who, I'm going to get a little bit into this, the students in their circle, how you can engage in the IHS learning community, a page with some frequently asked questions and helpful information, and then lastly, an avenue to provide comments, ask questions, and share thoughts. Each playbook, the student engagement playbook, the staff engagement playbook, and the family, caregiver, and community organization playbook will be available next week, and it will be sent out electronically via email. The link will be posted on the school district website and our Ithaca High School website, and we'll continue to share it throughout ongoing communication throughout the school year. One of the things that I've been most excited about in the development in these is communicating with the people who are they're created for. For an example, the family, caregiver, and community organization playbook, I've been talking to parents. We've met with the president from the PTA. We've gotten out to the community and asked feedback about what is it that you need to know about Ithaca High School, and about what's in place in order to be engaged and to play an active role in supporting students. Again, this page is also, you can find that in all 3 playbooks. It tells a little bit about the playbook and then the goals. You'll see here, it just speaks to that throughout the playbook, there's hyperlinks. They're underlined and they're also in cardinal red so that you can click on them to get more information. We have families who get inundated with summer mailing, and on top of the summer mailing that they may get from Ithaca High School, if you are a family of a child who receives special education supports, you get that mailing as well. The feedback that we've gotten from parents when we shared this at Freshman Informational Night was just like a big thank you, because oftentimes either they don't get around to reading the summer mailing, or it's just too much to read, or they still are left with many questions. The goals of the playbook are to engage the full learning community in supporting students at Ithaca High School. We hope to create and sustain an environment in which students can become self-directed learners. And we hope that through this playbook we can identify who, what, when, how, and why we support all students. Here you have the students in their circle, and I just want to bring attention to the fact that the student is in the center, because that's what we truly believe, that the student is at the center of everything that we do. This just represents the many adults that students come and interact with and see throughout their school day, whether it be transportation, because they're the people who they see when they first wake up in the morning and get on the bus, and then when they go home from school. This page, all these things, this just links to general information and maybe contact information. This page you'll find in all 3 playbooks. For an example, the Fine and Performing Arts links to general information about fine and performing arts, including contact, and you'll see things such as the community and fine arts resources. Now, pages 3 and 4 of each playbook are very audience specific. In this page, there are 9 bullets that speak specifically to staff at Ithaca High School. There are 9 helpful bullets and also hyperlinks to information that staff may need and may often want to refer to. The great thing about the playbooks is that they're living documents that can constantly be changed and edited and uploaded to be tailored to the needs and the questions of the audience members. For an example, there's a link here about professional learning communities information. There's also a link to know who you can work with throughout the school year to support you in your work with students. And that just links to the graphic that was displayed earlier with the alpha split and the many adults around the student. Now, this page is one of my favorites just because when this was first created, the content that is hyperlinked here was all based on what I believed staff wanted to know, the questions that they had, the things that they would need to access. But in the process of getting this to the final edit stage, I was able to meet with we were able to meet with department leaders and kind of get their feedback. We asked them to think about the teachers in your department, think about the questions that they had and the things that they want to know about. After that, we also shared this with the larger staff at Ithaca High School, and they also had a chance to give feedback and say, you know what, we don't really need information about that, but maybe it'll be helpful for us to know what do we do if there's a student who doesn't have a Chromebook use form and are not, using their Chromebook. So this links directly to that form. Again, you'll see that the rest of this just outlines some questions and information that's helpful for them to link to. The last page, an opportunity for sharing feedback and questions and comments through the Ithaca to the ICSD Let's Talk, hyperlinked. So if you click on this, it'll launch you to select Ithaca High School and to provide some comments and questions and feedback. So we hope that through these guides, we can continue to engage all members of our learning community. We hope to, again, work closely with community organizations with the larger goal of engaging every student. And thank you.
Thank you, but questions, comments? Ann, go ahead.
Just to say, it sounds really exciting. Sounds like you got a great team in place. And I'm really excited just both what you're saying about outreach to the community and going to where the community is seems great. So, that people are going to show up to your event. And I love this handbook idea. It seems like I bet it really get some use. And I think it will solve a lot of kind of the complexity that the community, like, where do I start?
Right.
And that looks fantastic. So thank you for doing that.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I definitely want to echo what Ann just said, and basically going to where the people are and engaging them where they are. And also, a lot of parents and community people feel left out because if I can't make a meeting or I can't make it to this function, where's the information? This, I could tell a lot of thought and effort went into it. And you asked the folks who it affects the most, how do we make this better, which is kudos to you. I saw on one of the first slides said tapping into the background for RTI. What does that mean?
One of the things that we're really focused on is what we call culturally responsive education, which in a nutshell is knowing more about your students, where they're coming from, and background knowledge is one of the key pieces of that. Not just background knowledge academically, what do they know, how can we build on that, but also what are they bringing that's unique to the table, and how do we tap into that to make our conversations and our discussions more complex. And it's one of the conversations that we hear a lot and we're supporting a lot through our professional learning communities. And it's a big part of RTI is supporting teachers and seeing what they need, where can we help them, so that all students, every student in the school, is getting a rich and rigorous education in the classroom and something that's connected and feels important to them. Yeah, thank you.
John? Nope. For Albert? Go ahead.
I think we've been waiting for a while to have a team like this at the high school. Most diverse, most talented, most beloved by kids. I mean, we all know a lot of these things, so it's good to see you guys get off to this kind of start. I mean, that's new thinking, that's new information, that's organized in a different way. As Maureen said, Ann said, how's that not going to be helpful to everybody? It's a complicated organization, a complex community. I know we've also talked about over the years finding a way to adopt, if I can use that word, some of the better practices at LACS about engaging the students and managing themselves. I just wonder in your conversation so far in the summer, has that come up at all? What are your thoughts about that, given again the size and the scope of the high school? What's possible?
So initial discussions have been around a lot of project-based learning courses, opportunities, student cross-school clubs and activities, leadership opportunities. We're doing a little bit of human rights work together. So some cross-pollination occurring along those lines. But I think for us, a new venture would be having our staffs get together. Maybe creating some unique opportunities during PLC times, Wednesdays after school or in the school day. So Diane, this is not new ground for Diane and I as leaders of this building, and so that's starting to take off now that we're up and running and moving forward with the precepts that we've kind of outlined here. We're really pretty excited about what's happening and the start that we've had to the school year and the energy and momentum that we're going to continue.
How are we going to measure success going forward? How do we know when we achieve 100% engagement?
Yeah, well, good.
I can say that one of the things that I know we're going to be looking out for when we step into classrooms, when you talk about engagement, oftentimes that is the question, how do we measure that? How do we see what engagement looks like? And I think one way and one thing that we all agree on as a team is that when we go into classrooms, we're going to look for how our teachers reaching out to the students who are not usually the ones who are participating. Or, as a teacher, sometimes it's very easy to call on the student who you know is going to say what you want to hear, or call on the student who maybe is more likely to give the right answer. But in this case, how do we engage all students, and how do we kind of measure what that looks like? How do we track participation and just continue to have conversations as a team and with teachers about engaging all students?
I mean, from a district perspective, the best way to track engagement is to ask young people or adults if they're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
We do that with an annual survey. And the high school has a significant increase in the number of young people who actually took it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this year you'll have 100% response rate on that survey, which will give us a really good indicator of if they're engaged or not. We ask that specific question in multiple different ways.
Yeah, and Crystal has a really neat story after a family fun night in terms of their engagement. Put out a quick survey to the student listserv. What, a matter of 2 hours, she had over 100 responses from students. This is really cool. This is great. So I think we're creating that culture of feedback, whether it be face to face or if we're flipping opportunities. We had a great discussion this morning with our senior leadership about no more food in each courtyard and how we help get that word out in a thoughtful way, that the answer wasn't a no, it was a we can't do it and here are the reasons why, so that the folks hear it from us, and so what gets discussed openly in a very genuine meeting then is now broadcast out and give folks a chance to respond, and we're doing that with our open houses and opportunities as well to put out to families, because it's asking a lot. That's why I was to give up family time to come into school. So we're trying to continue to push boundaries along those lines.
Right, and surveys gather data, but we find typically the best way is you're going out in the community, also going out within the student population, talking about the issues of the day, rather than let them find their own way. And just one question regarding the handbooks. It's great if you have web access and you have a computer. I'm a community member with a student, and I don't have access to either. So how do I get that information?
So we do also have the capability of printing them. I worked very closely with Latonia, who is our public information specialist, and helping to create this in a way that it feels and looks very similar to the Insider, which is very, very user-friendly, and can be printed as well for families.
Right, I just want to get that point out that there's multiple ways to access this information.
And additionally, you can access it on a mobile device, and so many people have mobile devices.
Yes, it is mobile friendly.
Right, and there's folks that don't have that either.
Oh, and if you don't need internet as well.
And if you don't have internet at home or you don't have a mobile device, we are partnering with the Tompkins County Public Library. They're developing a new technology area, so they're going to make some space.
Right, we're just trying to make sure that there's a lot of people in this community from many different backgrounds, and so how do we reach all of them? And
that being said, and as we have these living documents now, these quick reference guides, and going deeper, richer, we haven't lost sight of that face-to-face communication and the methodology to pull all this together and the honest feedback that we've gotten from folks when we really say, how do we make sure that we're approachable, accessible, you know who we are, and you can trust us and feel good and comfortable and confident. So we feel like in the development of these playbooks, we're really getting after some pretty deep relational things.
Right, and I appreciate the effort to get out geographically. When you first put up the screenshot of where you were this past summer, it was great if you were downtown. But you know, there's a lot of.
So we went to the Brookdale barbecue.
That's the point, right.
And Danby, Enfield,
It's,
Cottington Road Community Center.
Yeah, we always have to remember there's a Wilseyville and far reaches of the district that coming into the high school is very foreign to them, and we know that, and we've known that for a long time, and so I appreciate I guess the effort to do what we always knew that we had to do. But go ahead.
If I may, I was just going to say one of the really exciting things about that too is that the more when we go to, the more we're invited to, and people that come to those events tell us about the others, and it's been a really nice way to communicate with the community.
And to that point, you are right on track with really the board's goal, and personally the board as a whole, we feel we probably are restricted in multiple meetings in this building or in buildings downtown just because of the sheer number of them. Is certainly our desire, and we will have more meetings around the district, and we desire to be out, and we need to be out and about, and just to remind folks what we do in this district. And we've had a fair amount of success, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop doing what we do, or just come to a meeting and then we get to go home. There's much that we need to do to keep retelling the story. We're still fighting the same battles that we were fighting when my son was in kindergarten 20 years ago. So it hasn't changed. Many of the issues have not gone away. So we just have to really redouble our efforts to be out in the community for the board. And so I appreciate Ithaca High being out there, and all the other schools are really doing the same thing. But this is a great program.
I have a question. So for the playbook for the teachers, has there been discussion how you will have the conversation around making sure that this doesn't become a checkoff list? So here are the rules of engagement. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and now I've done everything that I can. And now this kid they don't know how to engage. Has there been some discussion for this playbook to become a checkoff list for teachers?
I think that we worked really hard in developing the playbook so that it doesn't present itself that way, so it doesn't present itself as a checkoff list, more so as a resource to more helpful information for tools and guides and information for teachers to refer to have further conversations about how they're engaging students. And I think that in our early conversations with teachers, that's been the case, and they've talked about how they're planning to use this as a tool to help guide them and further them in their work with students, and not as a checkoff list.
I would add, just with our relationships also, that we're working with the staff similarly as we're going out into the community, making it our goal to have staff develop stronger relationships with both family and caregivers and the students. So, making sure that we're in regular contact with each of them to know where the kids are and where the struggles are if someone's not engaged and how we can help them.
And I think RTI comes right around with that as well, and the big question at the base of RTI is what more can we do? And so I thought that when we were sitting and talking about what to present, we thought these three really went well together, and to not have it be a checkoff and not let there be an end to the conversation, but to continue that conversation as well.
I just want to acknowledge not only the good work you're doing, but the amount of off-the-clock time that administrators and teachers put into their job that very often goes unacknowledged. I mean, I would love to go to a lot of the public events that you have made an effort to go to, but sometimes I want to go home, and now you're making me feel kind of selfish. And I'm just really proud of the effort that you're all putting in to create the kind of really inclusive community where every young student feels connected. And I go back in the district, not as long as Rob. No one goes back as long as Rob, but the idea that
like I said, Pat's on fire.
Well, he was a student here, and I moved into
I did graduate, Pat. All right.
And one of the comments that I have heard for over 20 years is, there's attention to the kids who are struggling, there's attention to the kids at the top, there's the vast number of kids in the middle who no one pays attention to. And the 100% engagement is really so important to create that kind of, someone knows me and I know someone. And, my husband and I have been in and out of the school for a long time, and I'm seeing the best I've ever seen. So I want to thank all of you, because it's an amazing amount of time and effort. And I, for one, really appreciate it, and I know a lot of parents do too.
And I want to second that I spent 25 years at Ithaca High School, and it's looking really good to me.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to weigh in?
Just a question. I mean, think about how you guys can use us. Right? The high school is a factor of the size of the other schools, and we have a liaison relationships with. You know which ones of us come down, and you have some sense of what we do. So think about how specifically we can help you guys this year. That's something I don't think we've asked you to do before.
Thank you.
We are more than happy to do so.
When did you say that the playbooks would be available?
Next week.
Next week.
The staff engagement one is available now. This is the one I just presented to you guys, and we actually are going to the PTA meeting this Thursday to share and launch and talk with parents there. So next week they all will be available.
We look forward to the great work, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks, everyone.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Upcoming dates of importance, committee meetings coming up. Sean, anything you need to be aware of?
Riverine Policy Committee coming up next week, along with some other things, I'm sure, facilities.
We have finance and facilities next week. As always, the agenda will be long, but we'll also be reporting a little bit. I had the chance today with Ann and Eldred to travel to Albany to participate in the statewide school finance consortium. I think that's correct. Seminar today on state aid formula, riveting stuff,
but hugely important.
Very important. I think each time we go to one of these, we gain a little bit more understanding of the nuances, and so it's worth the trip. We can report a little bit on what we learned there as it applies to our district.
And legislative advocacy will be done.
So you'll report out further, or whatever?
You'll report, yes.
Okay.
At the committee.
It's good, thank you.
It's a report. It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. We're not going to do that tonight. So, and Tuesday nights, that's basically the night of committee meetings. Off Tuesdays, there will be committee meetings in this building or around the district. So make sure that we know where everybody is meeting going forward. Anything else? Without anything else, I think we're adjourned. Without objection.
Not that I want to make you feel guilty.